Hey kids, I want to see some pearly whites tonight. No running the toothbrush under the sink and calling it good.
Okay, Mom.
And stretch.
My back has taken an unfortunate turn for the worse.
Yeah, why are they letting these kids stay up so late anyway? Don't they know we're frozen here all day?
I don't think I can do this anymore.
Oh. Hey, watch it there, Gloria.
Stop calling me that. You know it's not my name.
Then maybe, I don't know, stop wearing that goofy name tag.
Gabriel, what is troubling you?
Watch out for the baby!
As a porcelain recreation of a certified messenger of God, I've delivered a lot of important messages in my life.
More like recreations of important messages.
But guys, the family in this house, they couldn't hear an announcement from God even if I destroyed the Wi-Fi router with a blast from my trumpet. One day I will unplug you forever.
We hear you loud and clear, Gabriel. Oh, you got a little dandruff on your shoulders.
That's not dandruff, it's dust. You have it too, Joseph.
Huh?
All of us do. The kids don't even play with us anymore.
What a shame they stopped flinging us across the room, huh?
I watch our family rush back and forth all season. Parties, shopping, school programs. Nobody even looks in our direction anymore.
Gabriel has a point. If we packed ourselves up and left for the basement, would anyone even notice?
You know what gets noticed? A heavenly host lighting up the sky. I used to stop traffic, you know.
Here we go again. Hey, guys, remember that time in Bethlehem? I was the main event.
You literally screamed and face planted into a sheep.
And you know, we don't talk about that.
Gentlemen, please, the baby. But to your point, Gabriel, it's true. They binge, scroll, laugh hysterically at, what do they call them?
TikToks. Not to mention talking all over each other, never listening. It's exasperating. Sorry there, buddy. I thought you were a clown.
What he's saying is true. Our family, they're a generation given to distraction and haste.
A clamor of many voices.
And the noisiest bunch this side of the Jordan.
Then what hope do we have of delivering them the good news of great joy?
Remember that while you have trumpets at your beck and call, it was also a quiet visit and a soft voice that called me to God's purpose.
It came to me in a dream.
And a star for us.
This news is too life-changing. It will never get lost in wrapping paper and social media. Because Jesus doesn't need a spotlight. He only needs a manger.
Hey, Gloria, just be grateful you're not stuck in a snow globe like that guy.
The life of solitary confinement. God help him.
Well, this morning, as we begin our Advent series, we are looking at the Nativity, maybe a little different than what we have in the past. You know, most of us have one or two, maybe three or four, you know, that we set out every December. Some of them old, some of them new, ones that, you know, may have been passed down from parents or other, grandparents. They all include pretty much the same thing: the shepherds, the wise men, Mary and Joseph, the angel, and the baby Jesus. And, you know, it simply becomes part of our Christmas decor. You know, it's beautiful, it's familiar, and often, unnoticed. But what if we pause long enough to consider the people in that scene? You know, what they experienced, what they heard or did not hear from God. You know, how they maybe fit into the story that leads us to Jesus. Well, you know, last week we were supposed to begin with Gabriel, the angel, who certainly knew what it meant to hear God speak. He heard God send him with messages of hope. He heard heaven erupt in praise on the night that Jesus was born. Gabriel knew the sound of God thundering into the darkness with the news that a Savior had come. But you know, God doesn't always speak that way. He doesn't always split the sky. He doesn't always send an angel with a trumpet blast. And so, you see, sometimes God speaks in the whisper. Sometimes God speaks in the quiet moments. And sometimes God speaks in the waiting, the places where we wonder if God is doing anything really at all. But through it all, God works by dwelling with us. Well, that was what the heart of our message would have been last week. And these three things that we would point out from that, that even when life feels ordinary or silent, God is present. Even when we do not see anything dramatic, God is still working. And even when we cannot hear him loudly, he is still near. You know, the Nativity teaches us that God doesn't only meet us in the spectacular moments, he meets us in the simple ones, in the stable, in the stillness, in the everyday spaces where he chooses to draw close. Now, I want to take a moment and just point out that in the back, you'll find these books, little booklets that would encourage you to pick up, take it with you today, one per family if you can, so that because we only have a few of them. But every week in here, there is a thought, or a little devotion that goes with our message for the morning. It also has in there some thoughts and questions for you to discuss together as a family. Sometimes there'll be things from the video that we'll see here in just a couple of minutes. Others will be activities that you can do with your kids throughout the week or grandkids or something like that. So make sure that you pick one of these up as you go along. Maybe pick one up and give it to some folks that maybe don't come to church. In the back, there is a page where I do have the links to our social media stuff. So, they can watch the videos online and then for the sermon and then go along with the book as well. So be sure to pick one of these up for your family on the way out. But today, so we're going to move from what we would have talked about last week, the angel, to who heard God speak, to the shepherd this week, the one who reminds us that God not only speaks, but God seeks. He seeks the wandering. He seeks the hurting. He seeks the ones who feel lost. He carries them close to his heart. So this morning, let's take a moment, and I'd like for us to take a look and see what's going on in the Nativity today, and see how the God who dwells with us, also comes to find us.
Hey, babe, did you lock the back door?
I think so.
Oh, typical.
Okay, everyone, let's stay quiet. We finally got our little Jesus to sleep.
What in the frankincense was that?
I sense darkness. Legions of other realms.
Or it's just Eli. That dumb sheep wanders off all the time. I'll be back.
Who is that?
Whoever it is, it doesn't sound like a sheep.
Eli! Eli! Come on back, buddy. And you better not be chewing on the garland, because I am not cleaning that up again.
Joseph, whatever that is, it's going to wake up the baby. Do something, please.
Can we just have one normal night?
Hey! Merry Christmas, everybody.
Shelf elf? Not again! I'm sick of this guy. Every year he shows up bouncing off the walls like Christmas is his show. It's like he thinks the nativity is just the background set.
Yesterday, he was hanging from the chandelier.
Joseph, please just handle this before Jesus wakes up.
I'll have a talk with him.
Maybe try leading with, oh, I don't know. You're disturbing the Son of God?
Up we go. Come on out. We have the chip bag surrounded. Eli, you know you're not supposed to have seed oils.
Look at me. I'm on top of the world, baby.
No, you're not. You're on sacred ground, Shelf Elf.
Relax, Joe. I'm keeping Christmas fun. Unlike you, Mr. Serious Pants. Oh, sorry. I forgot. You don't wear pants.
One more sound out of you, and you'll be making your last move back to the attic. Huh? What?
I love you too, Eli. You know I'd go to the ends of the earth for you, little guy.
Joseph, are you going to contend with this elf?
Yeah, I will. You're welcome to stay, Shelf Elf.
Huh?
Just keep it down a bit for the baby.
You got it, Joe.
We can sleep all the rest of the year in the attic. But this month, we get to remind everyone that Jesus has come to gather his flock, even the loud ones,
Like me.
and carry them close to his heart.
So, anybody want to lend me a hand? Gotta figure out how to get down from here.
You know, I've seen way too many crazy things that people and their shelf elves have done over the years. You know, in people's homes, things you see on Facebook and Instagram and places, but you know, they've almost become a distraction to the real message and the story of Christmas. And you know what happened in the video is perhaps a little too familiar to our lives, though, too, isn't it? You know, because life often feels like that. You know, something peaceful is taking place, and then all of a sudden the sheep wanders off, and the elf causes trouble, and everything just feels like it's completely out of control, like a three-ring circus going on in our home. Ever feel like that this time of year? And then we hear Joseph's line, and he says, you know, this month we get to remind everyone that Jesus has come to gather his flock, even the loud ones, and carry them close to his heart. You know, that's really kind of what it's all about, pretty much. This morning, shepherds, you know, the shepherds play just such an important role in the Nativity story. Luke records for us in Luke chapter 2 that so it was that when the angel had gone away from them into heaven, that the shepherds said to one another, "Let us now go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has come to pass, which the Lord has made known to us." And so they came with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the babe lying in a manger. Now, when they had seen him, they made widely known the saying which was told them concerning this child. And all those who heard it marveled at the things which they were told them by the shepherds. But Mary kept all of these things, and she pondered them in her heart. Then the shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all the things that they had seen and heard, just as it had been told to them. You know how appropriate or how perfect it is that Jesus often described himself as the Good Shepherd. And you know, that's kind of where we're talking today. Like a good shepherd, Jesus seeks us, he lifts us, he unites us, and he holds us close. So let's take just a few minutes this morning and see what the scripture teaches us about our Good Shepherd. So as we begin this morning, we can see that our shepherd is the shepherd who seeks. You see, Jesus tells this story in Luke chapter 15. He says, if a man has 100 sheep and one of them gets lost, well, what will he do? Won't he leave the 99 others in the wilderness and go to search for the one that is lost until he finds it? And when he has found it, he will joyfully carry it home on his shoulders. When he arrives, he will call together his friends and his neighbors, saying, rejoice with me, because I have found my lost sheep. In the same way, there is more joy in heaven over one lost sinner who repents and returns to God than over the 99 others who are righteous and haven't strayed away. Now, before Jesus tells this story, something important is going on. The Pharisees, well, you know, they're doing their Pharisaic things. They're complaining, they're griping, they're fussing, they're just making a big old ruckus. They're offended that, well, Jesus is spending time with sinners and tax collectors. You know, how awful that really is. They're saying, well, he's disgracing himself by keeping such company. They believe he's associated with the wrong kind of people. Because you see, in their world, avoiding sinners was not just a social preference. It was a religious duty. You see, the Pharisaic regulations instructed them not to do business with sinners. Don't accept an invitation into their home. Don't invite them into your home. You got to keep your distance away from these people, maintain separation, protect yourself from contamination. You see, that's how they saw people. If someone didn't keep the law perfectly, avoid them. Stay away from them. Let them suffer the consequences of their choices. Harsh. But Jesus was different. And so when the Pharisees accused him, Jesus didn't argue. He told a story. A story that they would understand immediately. And he started out, suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one. Will he not leave the 99 and go after the one that is lost until he finds it? You know, every single person that would have been standing there would have probably nodded their head. Because you see, the answer is yes, you would go find the lost sheep. That's what a shepherd does. A good shepherd doesn't run from the lost sheep. No, a good shepherd goes after that one that has wandered off, that is lost. And so Jesus, you see here, is drawing a sharp contrast. The Pharisees run away from the sin, but Jesus runs toward them. The Pharisees separate themselves from the wandering, but Jesus seeks the wandering until he finds them. Those old Pharisees, well, they do everything they can to protect their purity, but Jesus rescues the perishing. That's the heart of the shepherd. He notices when we wander. He doesn't shrug his shoulders and say, oh, well, just another one. Oh, well, I've got 99 more. Who cares about that one that just went off its own way? He goes after us because we matter. And you know, I think we need this truth in our lives today, because sometimes we get into a place where we believe that our wandering disqualifies us from God's care. We think, you know what, I've drifted too far. I have failed too much. I have disappointed God again and again. Surely he has moved on from me and I don't really matter anymore. But Jesus, you see, is teaching us the opposite. God notices the one who wanders. God goes after the one who goes missing. God seeks us not because we deserve it, but friends, because he loves us. In the video, the shepherd, you know, doesn't hesitate at all. He knows that old Eli's habits. He has seen that sheep getting into trouble before. He knows exactly where Eli tends to go, yet he still goes after him. And you see, that's exactly how Jesus treats us. Folks, he knows our patterns. He knows the temptations that we just can't resist. He knows what's going to draw us away. He knows where we fail and we fall. He knows our weaknesses. And he still comes for us. Maybe this morning you feel far away from God. Let me encourage you with this. The shepherd is already seeking. His pursuit of you began before you've ever taken one step back toward him. You know, if we were to apply this to the church today, a healthy church doesn't wait for people to return. No. A healthy church seeks the missing, reaches out to the hurting and the wandering. The church should be the place where we value the one as much as we do the 99. Well, second, this morning we see that our shepherd is also the shepherd who lifts us up. In Isaiah chapter 40, Isaiah gives us some of the most tender images in all of Scripture. Speaking of God, he says this. He said, he will feed his flock like a shepherd. He will carry the lambs in his arms, holding them close to his heart. And he will gently lead the mother sheep with their young. What a tender moment. You know, the shepherd doesn't just go out and find the lost sheep. He lifts the sheep. He lifts them up. The traditional shepherd's carry position, if you will, placed the lamb across the shepherd's shoulders, held securely by both hands, you know, right here, holding him on. Just as we saw in the video when the shepherd carried Eli. The sheep was close enough to feel the shepherd's heartbeat. You know, sometimes when a sheep has wandered off, it can't walk back. It's exhausted, maybe it's wounded, something has happened, it's overwhelmed. But you know what the shepherd does not do? It doesn't stand there and scold the sheep saying, come on, let's get up, try harder, do better. No. The shepherd picks it up and carries it close to his heart. You know, this is where the way of Jesus stands in sharp contrast to the way of our world today. Today in our world, we celebrate the person who pushes harder, moves faster, handles everything alone. We admire strength and self-determination and independence. But when someone falls and fails and cannot get back up, when that person is too tired, is too hurt, is too overwhelmed, suddenly the cheering stops. Instead, that person is often met with shame and ridicule and humiliation. The world shouts, try harder. Be stronger. Stop being weak. What's wrong with you? The world asks us. You should be stronger. You should be able to handle this. That's the voice of the world, the voice of condemnation. But it's never the voice of our shepherd. The shepherd lifts, the shepherd carries, the shepherd holds close. You know, many of us know exactly what that kind of love feels like because we've seen it in the way we have, the way that we as a parent have held our own children who have been frightened or hurt. You know, you think about that moment when our little one fails or falls or wakes up from a nightmare or is overwhelmed with fear. You know, we don't stand across the room and fuss at him and say, now come on, stop crying, shut up, just toughen up. No, we don't do that, do we? Instead, we scoop them up into our arms. We hold them tight to our chest. And we whisper, you know, it's all right. It'll be all right. I'm here. And within a few moments, the sobbing slows, the fear softens, and the trembling stops. You know, nothing has changed about the outside world, but being held close changes everything inside. Because in the arms of the one who loves them most, our child feels safe. In the arms of a parent, fear loses its power. And folks, that's the type of picture, that is exactly the picture that Isaiah is painting of our God. The shepherd who gathers his lambs and holds them close to his heart. Folks, you know, we're going to be in times, there have been seasons in our lives when we are that child. We can't walk on our own strength. We're anxious, we're grieving, we're hurting, we're feeling overwhelmed. We know what God is asking of us, but you know what? We just can't take that next step on our own. And it's in those moments that the shepherd doesn't stand there shouting directions at us, telling us to get up. He doesn't shame us for our weakness. He doesn't tell us to pick ourselves up and try harder. Instead, folks, he draws near. He scoops us up. And he carries us close to his heart. Where the world says you should be stronger, Jesus says, let me hold you. Where the world demands self-sufficiency, Jesus offers himself. This is the shepherd who loves you. This is the shepherd who lifts you up. This is the shepherd who carries you until your strength returns, and then sometimes long after that, because he simply delights to hold us close. Folks, let me encourage you by saying it is not failure. It is not spiritual failure to need to be carried. It is spiritual wisdom to know when we need to allow the Savior to hold us close. Folks, in the church, we're to meet that need as well. We're to carry one another when we need that. We need to support those who cannot stand. We need to pray for those who cannot pray. We need to walk slowly enough to stay beside the hurting and to be that arm and that shoulder for those to lean upon and to show them Jesus, the shepherd who seeks us and the shepherd that lifts us up. Well, third this morning, our shepherd is the shepherd who unites us. You see, in John chapter 10, Jesus gives this illustration. He says, I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must also bring them along. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. Now, when Jesus said this, you can just imagine the terror and the horror that crossed his listeners' faces. They were stunned. What? Wait a minute. Hold on. Who? What? There's another flock? Wait a minute. I thought we were the only flock of God. You know, they would have believed that they were the center of God's story, and you know, for a time that's the way it was. But you see, Jesus is making something unmistakably clear. God's family is larger, much larger than they imagined. And there will not be many flocks, there will be one flock under one shepherd. But when we look around the world today, especially even within Christianity, that is absolutely not what we see, is it? Denominations everywhere. There are branches and divisions and traditions and networks and movements and sub-movements. There are more labels out there in the world of Christianity than we can even count. And you know what? Sometimes we become so focused on those labels and our differences that we lose sight of the one who unites us. Jesus did not say there will be many flocks under many different shepherds. He said there will be one flock, one shepherd. Unity in the church is not created by human effort. Unity is not created by committees or programs. Unity is not the result of everyone looking alike or worshiping the same way or agreeing on every secondary issue. Unity comes from one thing, and that is a shared faith in Jesus Christ. We focus on Him, His words, His teaching, His sacrifice, His death, His burial, His resurrection. We're not focusing on us and our problems and our differences. Because of that, we cannot help but be drawn together. The people of God are not united by preference. We are united by a person. The Good Shepherd who laid down his life for us. The Nativity story gives us a small visual of this. There are figures there that would never be grouped together naturally. Quiet ones, loud ones, dramatic ones, worried ones. Different backgrounds, different generations, different ethnic groups, different societal groups. And yet they're all gathered together around Jesus. That's a picture of the church, not a display of perfection, a display of God gathering very different people into the same story under the same shepherd. Folks, it's easy for us to gravitate toward people who look like us, who think like us, who even vote like us, and even worship like us. But Jesus gathers his flock through one voice, and that is his own. He is the center. He is the unity. He is the shepherd. I pray this morning that we're a church that reflects Christ, not that reflects Christ is not a place where everyone is the same, but a place where everyone is centered on the same Savior. True unity does not come from agreeing on everything. True unity comes from following the one who leads us, our Good Shepherd, Jesus. So Jesus seeks us, our shepherd seeks us, he lifts us up, and he unites us. So finally this morning, our shepherd is the one who holds us close. Speaking to the house of Asher shortly before his death, Moses said these words in Deuteronomy 33. The eternal God is your refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms. What a powerful reminder that God is not a distant ruler. He is a present refuge. He holds us with an almighty strength and his everlasting arms. In the shepherd's carry, the lamb is pressed close to the shepherd's chest. It's not carried at a distance. It's not treated as a burden. It is held close and treasured and protected. Folks, that's how Jesus holds his people. Not reluctantly, not resentfully, not impatiently. He holds us because he loves us. Some of us have lived our spiritual lives believing that God just simply puts up with us. But hear this clearly today. You are not tolerated by God. You are treasured by God. As a church, we got to reflect that same heart. We need to follow Jesus, and that we need to hold people close. We need to offer presence over pressure. We must choose compassion over criticism. This morning, the nativity scene in the video broke into total chaos, didn't it? Sheep wanders off. The mischievous elf decides to rattle the room. Everyone is upset. People are feeling frustrated, and it feels all too familiar, doesn't it? An awful lot like our world this time of year. So much of our lives feel loud, unpredictable, and messy. But when the shepherd returns, everything changed, didn't it? He finds the wandering lamb. He lifts him up. He rejoices over him, and he carries him home. Folks, that is the heart of Christmas. Jesus, the Good Shepherd, has come to seek us, to lift us up, to unite us, and hold us close to his heart. Folks, that is the heart of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Right there in a nutshell. You know, it kind of brings us back to where we started this morning, Luke chapter 15. Luke chapter 15 is an interesting one. It's a chapter filled with the stories of lost things. Lost sheep, a lost coin, and a lost boy. Three very different situations, but one truth glues them all together. Lost things matter to God. Lost people matter to God. We matter to God. Feel lost today, lost in life, lost in faith, lost in purpose, lost in the noise and the chaos of the world. I tell you, the shepherd, he is looking for you. Like the lost boy in Jesus' story, it might be time to come home. Time to turn to the one who has been running toward you, not away from you. It's time to let the shepherd lift you up, carry you, and rejoice over you. Picture yourself today as that little Eli the sheep, the one who wandered off, the one who made the noise, the one who needed rescue, the one Jesus gladly ran after, lifted up, and carried home. Folks, hear the shepherd's voice calling your name today. Come home to him, because he's already on his way.